on guys, Jack here and welcome to episode 16 of the Pentagon Challenge. So we are at the end of our 4th season of actually managing. I think technically it's kind of 4.5 years since the start of the save, because the Asian season being different to the Argentinian season. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my head. Essentially it's the end of our 3rd year with Beijing IT, and it's been a good year. There's been highs and lows this year, but we've cemented a solid position. We've got to look at things relatively here. We got 11th in the league with 36 points, so we comfortably stayed up by 16 points. We got 9 wins from 30 games, so we won about a third of our games. We drew 9 as well, which is a little bit disappointing, and it is a very high number of matches to draw, and we only lost 12. We've got to kind of look at the positives from this. There was something that really blew my mind. I'm actually going to show you it just so you can get an idea here. Zeus is our star striker, so to say. And I'm going to compare him to the star striker of the team who finished top in our league. And we're just going to look through these stats individually so you can really get an idea of how small I am in this league compared to the big boys. So here is Lucas Barrios. He plays for... who does he play for? He plays for Guangzhou, who won the league this year. And let's just look at these guys' stats. Okay, so at caps level, Barrios has a lot more experience. He's got 49 caps, 6 caps. We have 19 years old. He's 31 years old. Right-footed. Height and weight don't really matter. Positions, my player can play more positions. Value, he's worth more. This next column's the one that absolutely blows my mind. This guy is on 300 times more than Zeus is a week. The amount that guy gets paid is about a third of what my club get in money in terms of income in a year. I think my entire wage budget's like £10,000, so I could have 11 of my team just for him. So in terms of that, to finish where we are, a lot of teams are like that in this league. To finish where we are is a really good achievement. I don't think people realise how hard it has been for me as a manager trying to get in the young players and hopefully develop them at this club. So that kind of puts things into perspective in terms of the difference between these big guns who I really want to be pushing for next year and say us, the lower pack, who are on like below 43 points, at us guys down here. We're the small teams of the league and we've got to kind of break that mould. So overall, it would have been nice to get a top half finish considering where we were halfway through, but after the previous episode, which if you missed you'll know, or you won't know about, this run of fixtures here where the Olympics came in and I lost about half my squad for almost 2 months. That was very disappointing. Luckily for me, we have really bounced back in the last 10 games. We've done an okay job. So here are our last 10 games. So we started up against Shenzhen, and we got a 0-0 draw against them, which isn't too bad. They're a team who are around us in the league. We then went to Dalian, who are, I think it'll tell us where they are in the league. They're fairly high up in the league though. They're not a small team. I think they're kind of a top 8 team. And we got a 2-1 win against these guys. We actually went 2-0 up very quickly on Hunso with both the goals. He's proving to be kind of an invaluable player to the club. It really can't be underestimated, the kind of role he's doing here. But I'm not sure how this goal came about. It's weird when you've not obviously playing 10 games at a time. I can't remember every goal, but very often against these bigger teams when we've been playing away this year, been playing on the counter-attack. And it works well because we have Zeus, who's a big target man, who knocks the ball down, and then Hunso really has insane pace for our level, and there's not many centre-backs who can keep up with him. I wouldn't be surprised if this goal shows off a bit of what he's all about, and it didn't really show his pace, but his finishing is something else for this league. For the kind of player he is, the amount he's on, he is like, his striker stats, his attacking stats are ridiculous. He has like 14 finishing, I think he has 14 composure and 14 off the ball. But this isn't more like him, a bursting run out the defence and cracks it on his left foot. That was kind of Steven Gerrard-esque how he pushed on there. But anyway, they got a comeback goal in the 73rd minute. It was a bit too little too late for them. It really was Route 1 football. I think that was Wallace playing stopper, went to push up to meet the ball in the air and completely missed it, and Bai just kind of missed the run as the coverer. He didn't quite have the anticipation there, and they got an easy goal. So that was that game. We then went and lost 6-1 against Chengdu, which, I don't know. There's been a few games this year where we've got absolutely trouted on. I mean, Chengdu are second in the league, but it was very disappointing to kind of go down how we did. It was 1-1 at one point and we just kind of leaked goals. Looking at the stats, they just deserve to win. They're a better team on paper. Looking at our players' ratings, really no one in the midfield sector turned up at all. And it was just one of those games where we ultimately, there's some teams which we can't compete against. We then went against Zhangtao, who we actually drew with earlier on in the season, and they finished bottom with 2 points this year. And one of those points was against us, so we really came out of the traps this game, determined to prove, I guess, a point and make sure we didn't slip up against them again, and really, register what should have been 3 easy points on the board. But anyway, Kui got the goal there, so that was in the 18th minute, and then the second goal of the game, which made it 2-0 and allowed us to see it out, was another penalty and another well-taken goal. So 2 penalties there, pretty unusual. But it's 3 points at the end of the day, and we have to kind of look at it that way. Anyway, we then went to Changchun away, and this was a 2-1 away win, with Wallace getting the Man of the Match award and a goal. He's been a really kind of inspirational signing this year in terms of making an impact at the club, and this is a game that we probably edged in terms of stats, and 2-1 really probably was what it should have been. But anyway, first goal came from it came from a free kick. It cracks the crossbar. They failed to clear it, and it was bundled into the back of the net. Not long after, in the 58th minute, it was another very scrappy goal. Again, the ball not really being cleared, and then at the back post, Xiaohua just finds some space and is able to bury it. But we showed a good bit of character here. You'll notice all 3 of the goals came from set pieces. That is a quality goal though by Wallace there. Ball comes over to the back post and he hit that on the volley into the roof of the net. But that made it 2-1. That was a great finish for a centre-back really, but that was okay. But then we went on a little bad run of results. We ended up losing 3 on the bounce, and we only scored, we didn't score in any of them, and we conceded 10. So going into our last 2 games, we had 2 not hard fixtures, but we had Erbin and then we had Guangzhou, who are the champions. But we went to Erbin, and this was a good game. Zeus getting on the score sheet twice, Hunso getting on it as well. Very good signs for us. We actually had the lead at 1-0 and 2-0 in this game, and then we ended up going down 3-2, and we showed a good little bit of character in the second half to get that important goal back. They in fact had a goal disallowed in the very closing minutes. It was offside, but at the time I was kind of slumped into my chair thinking this is like Beijing at the start of the season all over again. A game which we really should get a point from, and we're just throwing it away. But this first goal comes here. This was Zeus's goal, I do believe, and it was only about 20 seconds into the game. Good play here by that entire team. Quick one-touch football, and then Zeus hitting it first time like an absolute god into the back of the net. So that was a really good start to the game. They pegged us back almost immediately, however, only 4 minutes in, and it was already 1-1. And then I think the next 2 goals came within the first 30 minutes of the game, and I honestly thought we might see like a 4-4 or a 5-5 during this game. It kind of simmered down a little bit in the second half and the latter stages of the first half. Zeus getting on the score sheet here from a penalty to make it 2-1 for us. And that was a good second goal for the game for him. His influence along with Hunso really can't be underestimated. Both those guys were away during the Olympic kind of period this season where we lost a lot of games on the bounce. Since they've come back, they've been instrumental. I'll show you player stats at the end of the season after we've watched the final replay. But really, I can't stress how important they've been for us in terms of scoring a lot of goals. Kind of our best defence has been our offence in many respects. It's weird, as I showed at the start, we don't have the money to bring in the players that teams in this league do. So I really am looking kind of at a long-term solution with this club at bringing in a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds, players who are going to be able to play in 5 years and really mature. And that's something that I really need to look to continue in the next 3 to 4 seasons before. I just need to basically get the equivalent of Hunso, of Zeus, of Bai, be in every position on the pitch. Very kind of youngish players who are just going to mature and develop and that are going to want to stay at the club. And I just really want to nurture them up. Unfortunately for us, our training facilities have been downgraded, so that's a little bit disappointing because it just makes developing players a tiny bit harder. But it's just one of those things. But anyway, the very last game of the season, we had to go to Guangzhou, and I want to put this game into perspective. We went away to this team, and this team, they've lost 2 games all year. They're an insane team. Their home record, they only lost to us this year at home. They only drew 1 other game at home. In terms of their actual record at home, it's unbelievable. In fact, I don't know if I can get last year's results up. But their record last year at home, they didn't lose a game. We're the first team to beat them at home in the league in like 2 years. And in fact, the year before that, they only lost 1 game. And I wonder if I can get the fixtures from that season to see. Let's try and get the fixtures. I don't know if I can get the fixtures from 2 years ago. Oh, I can. Okay, let's get the fixtures from 2 years ago. So as you can see, they play a lot of football. Their last defeat at home came on the 25th of the 10th, 2014. So they hadn't lost at home in the league in 2 years when we went to them. So I really can't stress how impressive this final win of the year was, and it really puts it gives me faith in kind of the fact that this team can win the league. I believe in 5 years Beijing IT could win the Champions League in Asia at the rate we're going. We could win the league, and I feel like this is a long-term project, but I can certainly achieve stuff here, despite the lack of money. But anyway, we went 1-0 up, and all the goals in this game came very quickly, and in fact 3 goals went in 6 minutes. But this was a really good counter-attack by us. Zeus with the header there, kind of his typical finish. He's a superb target man, and I actually mixed up the tactics this year just slightly. I am going to show them after this game, but I might upload these tactics and even do a video covering them because they've been very good for me. But anyway, it went 1-1, and I'm sat there thinking, oh gosh, they're really just going to pull this back now. They've not lost at home in the league in 2 years. This is going to be mission impossible. But we played really well, and we got a goal back to make it 2-1 in the 21st minute. I think it was literally 2 minutes after they'd scored. You can see us having some nice passing football, good passing and moving, and Zeus picks it up there. That's a quality finish. The keeper doesn't even move. It's an insane goal by anyone's standards. And then we hit them on the counter again only a few minutes later, really catching them out this game. We played to our strengths of having fast forwards who can hit them on the break. Hunso, the architect, kind of splitting their defence apart. They're left in shambles. There's only one guy in the centre to pick out, and that is Zeus, and he is picked out by Hunso, and Zeus is just there, and that made it 3-1, and that was just an absolutely insane kind of result for the team. Looking at the stats as well, although they had a load of shots, they were very limited to long shots, and they had very few on target, whereas we created good chances. We kept the ball pretty well, considering we were playing away to this team, and it was a good performance by us. So let's just have a look at the stats for the end of season stuff, because I know people like to know kind of, we've only seen kind of 5 updates a season. You don't necessarily get the full picture, but I like to try and fill you in as much as I can. So in terms of goal scorers this year, Hunso and Zeus, these two lads, Zeus with 16 goals in 20 appearances, an average rating of 7.5. He's been a top target man for us. Hunso has been playing deep lying forward a lot this year. 8 goals from 21 games. But this guy has been massive for us. He's got 9 assists in that time as well. I wonder how many assists Zeus has got. Let's check this. He's got 5 assists, so these two guys really have been linking up well. And then behind them we have the support of Kung Ho, who's an absolutely insane advanced playmaker. He's missed out a few games because of injury, but you can kind of see by his stats he's a very solid player, and he's been improving a lot this year as well, which has been fantastic to see. And it won't surprise me if he's making appearances for South Korea internationally very soon. Let's look at his stats. He's got 5 goals and 4 assists and 2 player of the matches. It's a bit of a shame that he's only played roughly half the games this year, but it's just one of those things. In terms of people who have played a lot of the games, Bin has been a very good player for us this year. He came in on a free at the start of the season, having not really had an opportunity in the Super League beforehand. I mean, look at he hasn't made any appearances. Literally, he went on loan and got a few, a bit of a chance, but he came to us this year. He played every game in the league. What were his stats like? Every game in the league, he got 6 assists and 3 goals and an average rating of almost 7, which isn't too bad for a player who's only ever played 36 games at kind of a professional level. In terms of average ratings, is there anyone who kind of stands out? Mantega. This lad has been an absolute beast for us this year. We played a bit of a risk by by selling Balbuena and bringing in this guy, but this guy's really kind of paid us back in terms of, I guess, supporting the fact that money was spent. He was brought into the club. He's a very experienced player, having played, he's played at Feyenoord. Another player who's never really been given a chance anywhere in football. He's actually been out of, without a club for 5 years. He came to us. He's made 30 appearances. Again, another player who's appeared in nearly every game. Not many assists or goals, but he's been one of those players who has made a difference for us as a ball-winning midfielder in the centre of the park. Shalbin's been our main man on the right wing. He's not a very good player, bless his little heart, but he tries and he works hard. 7 assists this year, you can see there. An 89% pass kind of completion isn't bad at all. And an average rating of 7 for a guy who played 26 games in the league this year. That's fantastic to see. So that gives you a little overview of what's been going on in terms of the squad. Other top kind of appearers were Bin Bin on the left. I've already covered him. Sun Lee in goal. Bai had a really good season this year in the centre of defence. He's not really improved as much as I'd like him to, but he is maturing into a very good player, and he will be a China international in no time. Like, he's a very good player, and he's improved a lot lately. But in terms of players that I'm eyeing up, because I have got to look forward, as I said, I reckon I can win the league in 5 years if I played this right. My major signing that I'm looking to get over... the player who I'm looking to get in this year and will really make a difference is this lad. This is Zhang Hao. I apologise for the fact it's white on yellow. I know that's impossible to read and it's stupid. But this guy is China's international goalkeeper. In our league, you have to have a Chinese national playing goal. And this guy's contract runs out in 2 months. And he's not going to sign a new deal, I don't think. Looking at his wages, I reckon I can pike this guy before anyone else gets him. And I've had my eye on him for a few months now, as a long-term kind of player who could really bed into the squad. And I'm really determined to get this guy. So he is going to be my main transfer target this year. I managed to sign a lot of the kind of backup players in our team but with reduced wages, so I've actually managed to free up quite a bit of wage budget in terms of potential to bring in a few extra faces. And I'm looking at players mainly with expiring contracts because we just don't have the money to buy players. And speaking of the financial situation of the club, just so you can see, we're currently on minus 1,800,000. So this calendar year, you've got to remember this is including the sale of a player for $250,000. We've made a loss of about £600,000, which isn't great, and we're projected to end up with minus 2.5 million by the end of next season, which it's a worrying statistic. This year we made a loss of you can see it there. We made a loss of £567,000, and there's 2 things that can happen here. Number one is that we slowly build up as a club and we manage to level out the finances. The thing being that I can't really reduce the wage budget because it's so small anyway. It's not that the wage budget's the problem, it's just the club's finances aren't very good in terms of income. So the 2 options really are that we end up going into administration, which I'm really hoping won't happen. And the other option is that I can increase the club stature enough that potentially we get a new owner in to buy the club, which is what I'm swinging towards being likely. So That's something that could be happening soon at the rate we're going. Obviously, I wish I could go to the chairman and be like, dude, we need money. And show him our empty pockets. But, you know, in terms of turnover this year, we've made £700,000. And then you've got to look at what we made last year, which was significantly less. So we have started to make a bit more money. But you've got to look at it in perspective. In terms of total wage costs this season, we're talking at £352,000. Whereas there was that lad who played for Guangzhou, who are top of the league, who gets paid £110,000 a week. So his 3 weeks of his wages is the equivalent to my entire club's wages so far this season. So in terms of the league, it really is silly, like the difference between the rich and the poor, and this really is like kind of Robin Hood the king person dude. Is it the sheriff? I don't know. Why am I making analogies about Robin Hood here? But basically, long story short, we need monies from somewhere. So, on a slightly more positive note, I'm pleased to say we've cemented a place for next year in the Super League. Hopefully we can bring in some players over Christmas to really solid up our squad. And other than that, guys, thank you for watching as always. It's me, Jack. I'm out. Hope you enjoyed the video. This was episode 16 of the Pentagon Challenge. Maybe we can get 20 likes on this video. That would be awesome. And as always, guys, I'll join you in a few more weeks with the pre-season kind of update stuff. So other than that, guys, I'm out. And I'll talk to you guys in a bit.